What was your question, Gabe?
Yeah. So we were talking about don't be kind of the bland conservative. Don't respond in kind to their way of fighting.
Don't fight idols with idols.
Yeah. So if you were Josh Hawley, how would you respond in that moment with her? What would be an example, a way of responding where you aren't responding in kind with her reasoning?
I'm sorry, I'm setting the clock. Go ahead, Pastor.
That's cool.
Well, I mean, I think he did a decent job of actually just trying to ask her questions and try and point out the fact that she's not thinking in a straight line.
Yeah.
She's using words like origami.
Yeah.
She's using words to just to pile drive.
Yeah, right. And then she pulls the trump card and says, "Oh, you're just hate speech now."
Yeah. This is transphobic, and people are dying.
Yeah.
But I think he did a decent job. Just in the moment.
Yeah.
I think. I think, frankly, though, the thing that Hawley and other people do, I'm pretty sure that Hawley's a professing Christian.
Oh yeah, he's a solid dude. He's on the team for real.
Okay, for real.
Oh, he's on team.
But they need to. There need to be a lot more occasions where these outspoken professing Christians need to simply say, "Because God said," and they need to say it with a smile on their face and not care. And when people say, "Oh, but you're bringing religion into politics," you say, "Just like you."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right.
Religion is inescapable everywhere.
Yep.
I think
he needs to do that more.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the moment in that
it was the
conversation.
It was absolutely.
I didn't see the whole thing, but
I mean, Hawley did a great job. I don't want to discount anything he did. I think he did a great job. I think what I would want is to say, you keep saying birthing people. It's very offensive to my wife, first of all.
Yes.
But also, I just wonder, have you heard that when God made them, he made them male and female?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And let her answer that question.
This. Yeah, let's ground this.
I like that.
That way, it's putting, because see, they want to put this thing on you to make you uncomfortable to have to bring Christ into the conversation,
right.
Because they know they've already run this neutral ground.
But we need to
make it very clear.
Flip it around and say, but what about Christ?
Haven't you heard? I mean, it's all we have such great answers in Scripture.
Yeah. Jesus died and rose again.
Yeah.
In order to make all things new.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
I mean, that like you have to deal with that.
Yeah.
He's at the Father's right hand. Right. He's King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Right. You're going against him.
But Josh is probably feeling the tension a little bit in that room of, if I bring the Bible into this.
I don't think Josh is that kind of guy.
I don't know. I'm sure there's all sorts of pressures.
He said he's on the team.
I think you're right. I'm just saying any Christian in that room would feel the pressure for not bringing the Bible into it.
Carter, do you have the
because we've been taught for decades that you can't bring the Bible, you can't bring the Word of God into the halls of Senate.
But they can bring their Bibles
That's my
and
point.
the Word of their gods into all of the conversations.
Carter, do you have the clip with Hawley from ADF where she answers the question? Because this is kind of hitting at the point. Remember where she says, Neil's helping you find it. Yeah.
But I do think that the American people understand that you have no rights if you don't have the right to life. That is a principle that our nation was founded upon, and every human being from its earliest existence has its own DNA and has a future. If we don't extinguish it, has a future, and that is a human right. It is the values and mores, as Senator Cruz was speaking of, that goes back to the founding of our nation, even at common law, and all the way up until 1973, when those life-affirming laws in 46 states were turned on their heads by the Supreme Court. So I believe that's what the American people believe. Life is a human right.
So why is that not a great answer?
Because she grounded that in human values and
humanism
and constitutional founding fathers
and demos.
Yeah,
right? And like that's a good answer. It really is a good answer. Right. And that's a good answer.
She just didn't go far enough.
It didn't. There's something behind that. There's a foundation.
Common law is like the closest she got.
Right. Exactly.
Because common law, technically speaking, although it's still a little bit vague,
based on
is
God's
grounded in
scripture.
God's word applied to
modern.
Christians in politics kind of have this. You ever have somebody in the room that you're talking about, but you don't want them to know that you're talking about them, but people in the room who know that you're talking about them. And so they have this conversation where they talk about a guy who they knew who really does like Texas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know?
And likes orange.
But it's orange too.
Always went orange.
Yeah.
Can't pronounce words.
And it can't, and not all the time. He likes kind of
except
like
for Hebrew.
Right.
Guys, I'm right here.
No, we're not talking. It's not.
No.
There's a guy. Okay,
okay,
That's how we talk about Jesus.
Right.
We talk about him like, if they press just as we would say, yeah, I'm a Christian.
You know, like tradition.
Tradition
Mores.
says, right.
Mores.
This is what I mean about
Ethics.
bringing the idol in.
Yeah.
We're not talking about the God of the Bible. He owns it all.
Is he here?
All authority in heaven and in earth has been given to him when he rose from the dead.
That's good, Knox. That's
what they
good.
say his name.
That's good. Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Who is being erased?
Right, exactly. I mean, we're willing in the social justice movement to say the name of the people who have been killed.
Well, and when even the old girl on there who's just saying like you're erasing their existence or something like that, by not recognizing their existence.
The professor from Berkeley.
Yeah, you're not even recognizing their existence. Are you saying they don't exist? I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, are you saying that Jesus Christ doesn't exist?
Yeah.
Are you saying that he's not Lord of heaven and earth?
Are you not recognizing his existence?
Yeah. And I mean, you're exactly right.
And even right in the middle of that, she's not recognizing the baby's existence.
Right.
You know?
Well,
yes. And your point also, not recognizing I mean, we've said this so many times, we can get tired of saying this. Every time they try to affirm a fake woman as a woman, a biological male, the God made in his image as a man, as a woman, they are insulting every real woman.
That's right.
That's right.
You cannot put a dress on and become a woman. You know, a man cannot have a surgery and become a woman.
That's right.
No, like you think that's all it is? Like that's what you think it is? I mean, absolutely not. It's a complete insult. Like that's what it is. And we, I mean, you know, we've we have like the great sin, of course, in our day is racism. Like that's the great sin, right? Yeah. And so we have
according to
the world,
the social justice world,
and racism is a sin. I mean, I affirm that.
Yeah.
And so we have, you know, there's a word, the N word, that is just considered
anathematized.
Like this is the greatest insult to black people. And I'm fine with saying, let's not use that word because I don't think we should insult people made in the image of God. Right. But I don't think we recognize like every time they say a trans person is a woman, they're doing something worse than using the N word.
That's exactly right.
They're doing something, and it's the same.
That's
thing.
what my wife was saying the other day.
And it's the same thing with marriage.
Yeah.
But this is the thing that I want to
homosexual marriage.
I want to tell Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin, like you sat around and I'm just going to use this word and just pardon my French, but they shit talked.
Yeah. Facts.
Marriage. Yeah. For an hour and a half.
That's right.
Okay, and I'm not using that frivolously, but that actually has a meaning in our culture, and it's and what it means is talking sophisticatedly in a way that completely obliterates the value of something.
That's right.
That's what they did with marriage. Because every time you say something that isn't marriage and you call it marriage, you are mocking it, you are hating it, and you are dragging it through the mud. In the same way, marriage is glorious between one man and one woman. And when you say it can be two men or two women or three men or a guy and his dog or whatever, like you are insulting. You're completely being hateful to the real thing.
Carter, do you have clip 8 ready for me?
This is not going to end well. Like getting rid of all these categories.
I said we're doomed.
You know?
Did you hear? That's how I started off the whole show. We're doomed.
But no, you've made me a believer at this point. We finally, it took me to get to the club portal, but to make me a believer.
Here's the thing, though.
We were doomed at the Crocs,
No.
I ain't gonna lie.
But but this is nothing new.
No, but
this is. I mean, why do we have laws in Leviticus? That you can't sleep with your aunt, you can't sleep with your dog, you can't sleep with your cat, you can't, and everybody's like, well, that's really weird.
That's Old Testament.
It's Old Testament. And we're like,
Jonathan Lehman's like, that's in there. What?
But this is the thing, like God knows the proclivity of the human heart.
Yeah,
and that's why Jesus came.
That's right.
He died and he rose again and he triumphed over all of it. Yeah. And so we're back. It's the same thing. Why do the nations rage? Psalm 2. Why do they plot vain things? They can't overcome the Christ. They can't overcome Jesus. Yeah. He's died. He's risen again. We're 2,000 years into this story from his death and resurrection. That's right. And these are just the death pangs. This is a corpse wriggling. Yeah. This is not going anywhere.
Pastor Toby, do you know why it's okay to kill your kid?
No.
Because they might be poor.
To talk about what happens with children, and recognizing that after a child is born, that they do not have access to resources. They are not given what's needed to address the systemic racism that they are going to experience throughout their lives, to make sure that there's no help that's given to these families, Black and brown families across our country, in the wake of these abortion bans and restrictions. It's contradictory to so much of what we have heard today. This is not about helping. This is only going to harm and cause immeasurable suffering.
So we should kill the kid.
You kill him.
Yeah. What's the difference between black and brown?
Because
they're going to
black and brown. Well, African Americans, black people, and then you also have people who are Mexicans. They're brown folks. You have Asians. So they're black and brown.
Okay. So they're actually including kind of Asians in the brownness.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, black and brown.
You think they'd include?
And Gabe and I are pink.
BIPOC,
right?
Black indigenous people of color. So they would mark them in there. No, you guys are white.
I want to be pink.
If you identify that way, I don't know how they're going to fight against you.
I'm sure there's a new category we could put together.
But
they never talk about me. I'm just saying.
They're always.
I don't feel.
They're always talking about you, Toby.
I don't feel seen at all.
No, you're totally seen.
Pink man bad.
Yeah, they are. Believe it or not, this whole thing is centering around you, which is kind of the problem.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, it is.
Everything is like. Anyway, okay. But one of the things I think that we need to remember is it's okay to kill your children when. Yeah. That needs to be part of the question.
When people might be mean to them.
That's right. Yeah.
When they can't deal with systematic racism.
When it might be hard.
Yeah.
When they might not have enough money or enough Xboxes.
Carter, go to clip 11 because Pastor Toby's bringing it all up.
But I do think that the American people understand
not this one.
that you have no rights if you don't.
You don't have no rights to the right of. I'm sorry. This is where who was it? The senator asked the question, when is it okay? Oh, it's 12. Sorry. I'm off one, Carter.
Governor Stratton, as I listen to your testimony, it seems to me that you're advocating for abortion at any time, for any reason, at any point during a woman's pregnancy. Is that correct?
What I'm advocating for is for everyone to have the right to determine what's best for their life, their body, and their future.
At any time, at any point in the pregnancy. Is that correct?
I'm advocating for everyone to have the right to make the personal decision about what's best for their life, their body, and their future. Everyone should have that right.
Do you not understand my question? My question is, are you advocating that there's a right to abortion at any time, for any reason, at any point during a pregnancy?
I'm not sure if you understand my answer, but what I'm saying is that
I understand that you're not answering the question.
Then
what amazes me is the advocacy for unlimited abortion rights, where there is zero value placed on an unborn child.
That is absolutely amazing. These people are wicked.
He actually responded pretty decently.
No, he did pretty good.
He kept repeating his question and wouldn't acknowledge her answer as being any sort of answer.
Because she didn't answer. Carter, do we have the other one with him where he's asking her about when is it okay? When does a person become? Trying to make sure.
Do you see any systemic racism associated with the prevalence of abortion for black babies as opposed to non-black babies?
Absolutely. The higher rates of unintended pregnancy that lead to higher abortion rates among Black people is a result of structural racism, systemic racism. Wow. I understand systemic racism not to be boogeymen who are trying to dupe Black people into abortion care. I understand structural racism to be the systems that have made it so that Black people disproportionately bear the burdens of poverty in this country, the systems that have denied them the basics that they need in order to live humane lives, like food, clothing, shelter, health care.
So you believe that you...
So this is amazing because everything that she's saying that is structural racism has come on in the turn of the century because the Democratic Party has started playing with black people, which is against totally what Frederick Douglass is about. Yep. They need to be able to develop the muscles to stand up by themselves, fend for themselves in a country that allows freedom for all. Yeah. So everything that she's disappointed with and upset at is the very side that she's on. She's campaigning it at the same time.
And we've constructed this God, so this God of social welfare, the state. And they help you and they take care of you, and then she's mad at that God.
No, but
so she appeals to the God.
That's because you become what you worship.
That's right.
And when you worship idols, they deform you and they destroy you. Yep. Right. And so that's what's happened. Exactly. And to the extent that the black community has disproportionately been dependent on the state,
those gods.
then you're going to be disproportionately disabled and deformed by the state.
Remember you said you were talking about federalism, like the headship. When you remove that headship, bad things happen to the family.
Right.
And the whole point of destroying the black family has removed men from their homes from the beginning. Anyway, Carter, go ahead and finish that.
That responds with the criminal legal system.
You believe there ought to be more black babies aborted, is that right?
I believe that we ought to create the conditions under which people can lead lives that are filled with dignity and humanity.
Not all
That
people.
means
Your way of thinking that happens when more black babies are aborted.
I believe, I love black people with the capacity for pregnancy. I think they have agency, they have intelligence, they know what is best for themselves. And I would love to create the conditions under which they can live lives that are filled with dignity and humanity.
And do you think a baby that is delivered alive has value?
Yes.
Do you think that a baby that is not yet born has value?
I believe that a person with a capacity for pregnancy has value. They have intelligence. They have agency. They have
I'm talking about
dignity.
the baby.
And I'm talking about the person with the capacity for pregnancy.
You're not answering the question. I'm asking.
I'm answering a more interesting question to me.
Do you think that the baby that is not yet born, let's say the day before this mother delivers, do you think that baby has value?
I think that the person with the capacity for pregnancy has value, and they should have the ability to control what happens to their lives.
Well, and I just note you refuse to answer the question.
This is insanity.
She has a more interesting.
I have a more interesting answer.
Answer to the question I want to answer.
Hi, I'm Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, the world's largest classical Christian homeschooling community. I'm launching a new podcast, Refining Rhetoric. If you like cross politics or just listen to hear what crazy stuff they're saying today, you will enjoy Refining Rhetoric. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform. I practice the 15 tools of learning by interviewing great guests, looking at current events, and talking about cryptocurrency.
The season of Augustine and the season of Cassiodorus were very different moments in a crucial transformation that occurred in the history of the Western liberal arts. All right, so just stay like this. How am I doing here? So, yeah, you don't like this, huh? What does a Christian education look like when non-Christians are the ones who control the institutions of learning? This is a question that confronted Bishop Augustine of Hippo in North Africa in the 5th century AD. Augustine lived at the twilight of the Roman Empire. He himself had been trained with the best learning that Rome at that time had to offer. He himself actually came through the ranks and taught rhetoric in some of the best schools. And it was then, after he had come of age, that he converted to Christianity, but he wanted to continue the project of education, but this time for Christians. And so he had to confront the question, what does a Christian education look like when the unbelievers control the field? When they control the institutions, when the whole apparatus and curriculum of learning emerge from a pagan environment. And so Augustine wondered, what is it that Christians should jettison? What is it that Christians can embrace? What is it that Christians can adopt but in modified form? These are the questions that Augustine confronted when he sought to educate Christians in an environment when unbelievers dominated the field. A century later, we see a man in the south of Italy named Cassiodorus, who faced a very different educational landscape. He had to ask, what did a Christian education look like in an environment where unbelievers had abandoned the project of education altogether? The infrastructure of learning had entirely eroded. If education was to proceed at all, it had to proceed on the foundation of Christianity. The Christians had to be the ones preserving education. What does a Christian education look like when Christians are the ones forming the institutions, when Christians are the ones organizing the curriculum? Well, these two seasons in the history of education, the season of Augustine and the season of Cassiodorus, just 100 years apart, were very different moments in a crucial transformation that occurred in the history of the Western liberal arts. We're going to be studying this story. We're going to be going back to the sources. We're going to go back to Augustine. We're going to go back to Cassiodorus. We're going to ask ourselves which of their predicaments most resembles our own. Which can we learn from Augustine's period? What can we learn from Cassiodorus's period? As we confront these questions, we're going to engage these sources, and we invite you to join us here at New St. Andrews College.